Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me time to make an impact on the External Affairs Ministry, which is a very important ministry that reflects the international perspective of the country. And I know it is in the hands of Honourable Professor G.L. Piris. And the country is looking at how the world reacts to Sri Lankan's actions. I'm happy to follow after Dugunasekara, but I'm sad that a communist member speaks of foreign policy as if it has been in the 1970s, when before even the Great Wall was broken down. He talks that the foreign affairs is in the hands of 2 or 3 countries. Either he is basically having amnesia of convenience, or he is not abreast with today's world conditions. He talks of BRICS as the new world order. He forgets that the US plays a pivotal role. He forgets that the EU has 27 members expanding. He forgets that Japan is the biggest donor. He forgets that Sri Lankan location is next to India. And he also tries to circumvent that there is political realities that are there when you talk of the international treaties that we have got to basically talk of. Shouting in this parliament does not fear the international community. Our job needs to reflect matters that are brought to our attention, give a direct answer to that as to why we rebut it, rather than make big noises here just to score and protect your ministry from the next reshuffle that comes. Honourable Minister, you have a difficult task on your hands. And you have an able Deputy Minister, both of you all, which had the original base of United National Party, because you all know that has a finesse in running governments. Now, it is not our intention, just because we are from opposition, to take to task on matters that are of great importance to the country. This is not your country, this is not my country, this is our country. So do not for a moment think that power has been bestowed onto you to run the way you would like and to castigate the opposition just because we are opposing you today. But remember, we have a right as much as you to protect our national motherland and ensure that we take it to a better tomorrow. We call upon you, Minister, to tell us what is the policy of the government. At the end of the day, foreign affairs is that you should be friends with all and enemies with none. But you seem to be having a hallmark that you take the best of friends just because they basically say that you are doing something wrong, and make enemies of our friends and try to make friends out of our enemies. At this particular moment, the world is going through turmoil, turbulence, economic derelict in many countries. And if we little Sri Lanka think that we are insulated from these problems, that is the biggest problem that you have. You cannot divorce external affairs from economic activities. Today, European Union is having where even United Kingdom is taking a strategic decision to move out of the Euro agreement simply because they want to protect their financial interest. They're taking a task and forgetting the external dimension on that particular one. David Cameron had that very difficult task of doing so. Now, do you think by their taking that decision we can basically fight European Union thereafter? Likewise, we are asking you, Honourable Minister, if the way the external ministry has been protecting this country, why have we successfully been isolated from the world community? Look at the last attempt that you all had in St. Kitts, Commonwealth Games. You all boast that you all had 40 people that basically supported you in the non-aligned movement. Now, if the 70 countries that voted, 40 of them were there, why did you get only 27 members of that? Now, just because Commonwealth Games does not mean that there is no External Affairs Ministry handling of that particular one. Your job is to ensure that the foreign community is with Sri Lanka at every given moment. Now, unfortunately, I'm telling this because you're External Affairs Ministry. If you are Sports Ministry, I would have told you the same from going to St. Kitts and losing that. But you have got to carry the bad brief of the government. When you project our country, you must at every given moment ensure that every attempt that we are basically looking at soliciting assistance for us, they must be there. Out of 70, if you get 27, that means that 53 were against you. Now, if you are so popular that you say, then you must ensure that we have got the Commonwealth Games. Look at the Labour GSP. European Union told you, please ensure you implement your constitution. You all try to show that as if the opposition was there, try to take you to task. Human rights is an absolute disgrace in this country. If you say no, please get up and defend that. Look at Sarat Fonseca, who won the war for us, eradicated terrorism. He is today in jail. And the very people who exploded bombs are ministers in this house. What about KP, who is caught in Malaysia, brought as a fugitive here? He is not even on bail. Bharata Lakshman, who basically was a closest confidant of the president. Today, what has happened to, he is not living with us. What is action taken against them? Is that the human rights that your government is trying to show the world? Do not try to bluff the world. You can try to fool some people in Sri Lanka, sometime. You can try to fool all the people at a given moment. But you can't fool all the people all the time, Mr. Minister. I am saying you are a competent minister. You have a competent deputy. But you have an incompetent government that is there. So that bad brief has to be defended by you. We as opposition members in the government, in the country, needs to expose this type of things. When you come to Labour GSP, we told you, if you basically protected your constitution, none of these problems will happen. After you take remedial action for what has been done against you, no amount of effort would help to overcome the problems that have been created. If you didn't amend the 17th Amendment through the 18th Amendment, half the problems would have not been there. If you allowed the normal course of action to be taken instead of trying to make your police your private security company, none of these problems would have been there. Instead of upsetting the labour unions, if you had given them the democratic right, none of these problems would have been there. If you basically upheld the international treaties, the ICC covenants that you are basically supposed to as a dignified country accepted that, you wouldn't have the problems that are there. You should not be using the Tamil problem, just trying to show that you are trying to talk of that and do nothing to them. The Tamils are an integrated part in our country. The social fabric of our country is enriched by the Tamils of our country, by the Muslims of our country, and the Sinhalese that are there to support that. Do not take them in piecemeal. When required, you take them and shove them into a corner that is there. Don't try to bring basically committees into this house just to appease, just to help the Geneva Convention in March. Ensure that you walk the talk. It's not just try to address the Geneva talks in March that you have got to do your actions. How many people are still that should be in jail who is not in jail? How many people are in jail that should be out of jail? That is what has got to happen. I mentioned of KP. Why is he given protection when he should be in there? Where are his 19 ships that you're talking of? Where are the billions of rupees that got to be taken? Ensure you confiscate. Ensure that you use for these underprivileged assets that you do. Take these type of monies and ensure that develop the Sri Lankan community that is there. Now that is why when the external ministry is silent on that, when you have got to action and you don't, international community looks at this and says, why is this special treatment given to these barbaric people? Honourable Minister, that is where you got to look at the Billion Development Fund. You and I, when we were ministers, we managed to get this. Now, Millennium Development, you will say there is no human rights. But there is certainly areas where you got to ensure that the communication activities are there. Websites are being blocked. When something against the government, then basically those are blocked. But what about the other things that are going on there? There are actions that are taken against the opposition, nothing happens. So, Minister, you must be able to take criticism in its proper spirit. It's not that basically you're opposing for the sake of opposing. But when there's a matter of integral importance, we will stand and fight against however much the odds are against us. But we have got to defend Mother Lanka, and that we will do without any fear or favour. That is what we want to expect out of you. Now, Honourable Minister, Commonwealth Games you lost. I just recalling from memory. Even from the ICG, we were members of 23 member states. We lost our opportunity to represent that. Why is this happening? We little... Sir, මට මිනිත්තු 13ක් තියෙනවනේ කතානායකතුමනි. මට සාධාරණ විපක්ෂයට කිනිහිලිකම් කරන්න තව මිනිත්තු දෙක තුනක් දෙන්න. Then you talk of the Millennium Development, we have missed out on that. So on that particular one, I'm talking the websites, the blocking of them. Look at your friend and my friend, Lasantha Wickrematunge. No action taken against this good friend of ours. What has happened to Ekne Nigoda? You're basically politicizing issues. But these people who are dead and gone, nobody speaks of them. You are just looking at the Geneva Convention, trying to see the media, then suddenly calling the TNA to talk there. Remember, UMP also plays a pivotal role in the national ethnic composition and ethnic problem that is there. We are not going to be passive members, expecting you all to put horse deals and expect us to be silently supporting. We will never obstruct any prospective development activities between the government and the Tamil community. But remember, the United National Party has a pivotal role to play in that. And we will ensure that that basically integrates the Sinhalese, the Tamils, the Muslims, and bring it under one umbrella. That is what D.S. Senanayake, when he wanted to get independence, that is thought of. So please ensure that these are quick and don't only address these issues to Geneva just because human rights are there. Don't try to wave around Sarath Fonseca and to say, yes, we are releasing him in February or we'll release him in April. Ensure you take this in correct perspective. If you bring in KP to custody and then release Sarath Fonseca, yes. If you do the same thing to Pillian, who exploded a bomb outside Dalada Maligawa, or Karunamma, who gave leadership to that, who is a minister in yours, if you can pardon him, why can't you pardon Sarath Fonseca? You have Minister Rauf Hakim asking the family members of Sarath Fonseca, get him to ask a pardon. What fault has he done to ask a pardon? You are getting Gajadhira, who is the minister, they are saying he is getting proper food. He gets the same prison food that others get. That is what the external community is looking at you all and saying, why is this special treatment given to some guys who have basically been robbing the country, exploding bombs, and suddenly the love that is there to people who protected democracy in this country? Honourable Minister, I don't want to take too much. Ensure that India, our closest neighbour, we treat them with respect. They have basically been always talking of ensuring that there is a settlement brought in to the vexed problem that is there, the ethnic issue. Ethnic issue does not only mean the Tamils. It is the Muslims that are there. It is also the Sinhalese that are there. It is not just saying, take this or not. All want an honourable way of living. Don't try to impose something just to show the world that you're talking with them. Ensure that that comes through your heart, not forced into them. That is what the Tamils are asking. That is what the Muslims are asking. And that is we as the UMPs are watching what you all are playing as games. 4 more meetings before the end of the year. Don't think you can try to basically convince one aspect. There is other aspect that is there which is not going to be silently watching you all fooling the world. What we want is a genuine attempt that is there to solve this problem once and for all. Do it in a depoliticized manner. When Tony Blair solved the problem in Ireland, he didn't castigate the opposition, nor try to basically bring unwanted advantage to him. He said the opposition helped us, the government is supporting that, let's put something which is behind us and talk of the unborn future. That is what is expected of you all. Here every minister that gets up talks of His Excellency the President. No minister can talk without Mahinda Rajapaksa's name being mentioned.
I gave you 3 minutes extra.
Thank you very much. So look at the spirit the speaker works without jackasses like some people like that are there. Thank you very much, Honourable. No, I mentioned I'm also giving the dignified manner. You as the President's brother that is taking command here. Look at the ministers. They can't speak without saying Atigaru Janadipati. Every word has to be vomited of that. Even he doesn't want such bomb sucking that is going on. All he wants to say is tell what is good for the country. The people who bomb suck only try to ridicule the government instead of trying to take it forward. That is what he expected. If you listen to February 4th statement, he said, please ensure that you have constructive criticism. Don't just basically just sing hosannas for dinner is what his speech. Listen to what he says, instead of just getting up and being just another jack of all trades that is here. So, Honourable Minister, the foreign affairs, all I want to ensure that there is no interference. There are career diplomats that are there. The 65-35 ratio has now been turned to 60-40 towards politicization. Ensure that you bring the career diplomats that are there, so that they have a better tomorrow. Bell Pottinger, you paid $3.2 million. You're basically denying that he basically made the foreign statement. They basically officially came. Here is the statement here is the document that they did. The colored document that was there, 48 pages. They are given you the way forward. They have said how to engage the opposition. What did they do? When the United Nations, the speech that was written, they gave the foreign affairs to give. I was informed that they gave you also to make a speech, to write a speech, and Bell Pottinger gave. Out of the 3, they selected that. Now, are they denying it? They have got these slides that they did everything for them. So we are not opposing that. It's the right of the President. Right. If he feels that the foreigner can do it better than the local, do it. But why are you basically saying ජාතිකත්වය ආරක්ෂා කරන්න ඕනේ කියලා ලොකුට සද්ද කරලා සුද්ධ පස්සේ ගිහිල්ලා උංගන්න අපේ රට ආරක්ෂා කරන්න. මෙන්න මේක තමයි External Affairs Ministry එක අමාත්‍යාංශය වැඩ කරන අය කියන්නේ. සුද්ධන්ට බනිනවා යකෝ සුද්ධ තුලින් තමයි රට ආරක්ෂා කරන්න හදන්නේ කියලා. මේ වගේ බොරුව තමයි ගෙනියන්න අවශ්‍ය වන්නේ. ඉතින් කතානායකතුමනි ඔබතුමාට වෙලා ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙන නිසා මම ඉතාමත් ඕනේ කමින් කියන්නේ. Please ensure that you tell this house. When I asked a question for Honorable Neomal Pereira, he said that Foreign Affairs didn't basically pay 3.2 million. Yes, it was paid by the Presidential Secretariat. By Lalit, the agreement was with Mr. Lalit Viratunga. But in the process, what happened? There were certain figures that were brought, was reduced and put on the central bank when they went on the Commonwealth bid. What a mess it has been made. These are taxpayers' money. You have paid $3.2 million to them and kicked them out. But the same plan is being actioned by incompetent, inept people that are there. So this is why you as the Foreign Affairs get the flack of it. Please ensure whether election in USA or India, whether when you're outsourcing, do what is good for the country. Take the competent people that are there. There are enough of competent people. Take the opposition into confidence at times. Don't only target for certain human rights activities that are there in Geneva. We are there to defend with you. But give us opportunity.